So by 2030, Vegas could be a ghost town. And I'm not just talking about the casinos that line up the strip. I'm talking about the people that live here, that make up the workforce, that call this fair town home, leaving to greener pastures. And in this video, we're going to explain why and how the current economic downturn in the city is impacting regular people in this town, and how if things don't change real fast, Vegas could join the ranks of other great American cities that saw massive exoduses. We're going to explain everything with facts, figures, and data in this video in a way that you can understand. My name is Steven. I'm not living in Las Vegas. And as we say around here, 1, 2, 3, and action. So by now, most of you know the tale, but some of you are in denial. I see people pointing their cameras on live streams at the Bellagio on a Friday, and everybody agreeing that Vegas is just the same it ever was. But to fully understand why this ghost town scenario could happen, we have to understand some stats, facts, and figures. Vegas is down 7% cumulatively for 2025 versus 2024 in the first 6 months. Some of those months have visitorship declining as much as over 11%, and occupancy rates on the weekdays and weekends have literally cratered. We have a situation in Vegas where the people that live and work in these hotels are the people that are going to be impacted the most. They're already being impacted, and we'll explain that in this video. But just understand that if you're in denial that Vegas is in decline, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that are hoping and praying that the ghost town situation that we describe in this video never happens, and I happen to be one of them. So what's happening in these casinos, and what is the direct impact? Well, that is something that nobody's talking about. Let me explain. So to fully understand why this town's ghost town scenario could play itself out, we have to understand business in Vegas. Of course, when you come here, you see all the front-facing people, the dealers, the people that are emptying trash cans, people cleaning floors, people cleaning your rooms. But the Strip also employs people from executives and CEOs at companies, cooks, chefs, bussers, trash transportation systems. Everything is related right here to the casinos. So how bad are the people working in the casinos feeling it right now? Well, first we have the layoffs. We have the ones we know, the ones that happened at properties like the Fontainebleau, the Resorts World, places that were publicly in the news. And then we have the layoffs that we don't know about. The layoffs that are not really layoffs, things like furloughing your hours down to where you're basically on call. And then we have the layoffs where no layoff occurs. People are getting the exact same hours, but because they're dependent on tips, and people aren't tipping because the people aren't here, and the ones that are here are on an extreme budget. Hi, thank you, Ireland. We have a situation where some people are making as much as 75% less than they were a year before. Now that might sound like it's not that impactful. I mean, the Strip is just one 5-mile piece of real estate in Las Vegas. But the reality is, it actually affects everybody citywide. Let's explain why. You come to Vegas and you spend money in the casinos. The casinos get busier and they have to hire more people. This cycle has been repeating up until 2025 like clockwork, to the point where we now have 330,000 people that are either employed directly or indirectly by the casino properties. This affords Vegas to form its own economy like any other city. Business owners can set up shop in Vegas, or they can move their business from Vegas to somewhere else for the opportunity to have access to the people that are living and working either directly or indirectly in the shadow of the casino business. And when those people that are working in or indirectly in the casino business are not getting paid the same way they used to, those local businesses suffer. And in some cases, they suffer harshly. There's reports around town right now of businesses seeing sharp declines in all of their wages and incomes. I covered this on my Monday news update. I do videos on Mondays and Thursdays, so be sure to subscribe. If you're even 1% smarter, I want you to join the 1% Club and subscribe right now in this video. We talked about how services that are not necessary services, things like car washes or nail salons that are around town that regular folks frequent, are seeing harsh, steep declines in their revenue right now. And if this continues on for much longer, the city could be in that death spiral where there are not enough people who are getting paid well enough in the casinos to support the businesses that have to stay open to employ more people. And eventually, before you know it, the people off the Strip are getting furloughed and having their hours cut. And eventually something has to give. People have to think about packing up and moving out of town. And of course, Vegas has been here before. We've seen downturns. 2008, 2009, with the housing crisis that crashed the economy for the greater part of the world, saw numbers plunge, but fully recover in time. Of course, the 2020 COVID crisis brought a complete closure to everything you see on Las Vegas Boulevard, which led to 35% unemployment rates. But again, in time, over the years, Vegas would always recover. So what's so different about it this time? Well, this time it's not a global banking crisis. This time it's not a worldwide virus that had to deal with the panic that ensued. No, this time, the problem with what's happening in Vegas is at the root of its core. It's in these buildings. And if Vegas is really, really unlucky, it might actually just be in Washington, D.C. You see, because there's a silent war brewing right now between local lawmakers here in Vegas and Nevada and with lawmakers up in Washington, D.C. This stems over confusion of whether or not Las Vegas is considered a sanctuary city. A list it made because of actions taken by current Nevada Governor Joe Lombardo when he was the head of chief of police here all those years ago. And if this federal funding disappears, it would mean a stark decrease in the amount of money going to safety initiatives, homeland security funding, and things that keep you safe here on the Las Vegas Strip. This would no doubt have to be picked up in other areas to ensure the safety of tourists and would take away from the social net that we have here in Vegas. And if you think this entire doomsday scenario is a little too much doom and gloom for you, don't think it can't happen, because it has happened in the past. Some cities have recovered, and other cities are still trying to recover. You see, it's not hard to find modern-day examples of American cities that relied on a single sole source of employment to run their economies. You can take a look at Detroit, for example. Detroit was once the pinnacle of American manufacturing, with car production ruling the city until Japanese car makers took America by storm during the gas and fuel crisis and oil crisis of the 1970s. This forced a pivot to foreign cars, leaving Detroit a pit of what it once was. Detroit is still recovering, with recovery in progress and things getting better. Or how about Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the biggest steel producer in the world for a time, until steel was found to be cheaper to be made in other places, and we're still fighting to these days' end whether or not we should be letting Japan buy U.S. steel. Or how about Atlantic City, a town that boomed and busted over and over again, but has thankfully, in the last few years, managed somewhat of a recovery as it diversifies, just like Vegas has, to bring in that massive tourist pool of people who are all living on the East Coast, who may very well choose Atlantic City over Vegas if Vegas doesn't get its act in gear. So the question then becomes, if this happens, how does it happen? What does this timeline play out like? So without a major recovery and major corrective pricing action from the casinos, by the end of 2025, we would most likely see occupancy midweek dip into the low 70 percentile. It's already in the upper 70 percentile range, so this might not sound that serious. But with occupancy that low, further layoffs and furloughs of casino workers will continue, with the extreme degree of, quite possibly, some of these properties closing off towers midweek in order to save costs on things like heating, air conditioning, and service. By the time holiday season 2025 rolls around, very end of the year, Vegas feels a lot emptier than it ever has before, especially for this season. So with people staying away for New Year's and choosing other destinations, Vegas feels it coming into 2026. 2026 comes around and the CES show, Consumer Electronics, happening in the first part of the year, seems a little less popular than usual. It's not as bad as the first year of post-COVID recovery, but it's still a big impact for one of the biggest shows of the year. By mid-2026, we have casino companies doing what they've done for the last several years, increasing prices and further positioning Vegas as a sheer luxury destination for only the highest of rollers, chasing away people in mass in order to try to maximize profit revenues so they can pay their ever-increasing rents for the real estate investment trusts that they entered into all those years ago when they sold their properties, and to drive up the price of their shares for their shareholders. It's at this point that gaming revenues have finally leveled out and dropped to levels where the casinos are no longer seeing increases because the players, the masses, the normies like us that would usually pump money into the machines are simply no longer in town. After that, it gets a little muddy, no matter how many different types of scenarios I run. But it's important to note if that Vegas fades to that point, the mystique, the shininess, the draw of Vegas will be lost on the future generations. You see, Vegas has always been a generational destination. You'll meet people that have been coming here since they were first started dating their spouse 20 years ago. You'll get people that started coming with their families and continue to come into adulthood. But without that kind of je ne sais quoi, or as the French say, I don't know what, Vegas will just be another town where you can go and sit by the pool, not the special place that it once was. So what is the fix? Well, the fix is simple: lower prices. And let me explain what the other fix could be, which is a booming economy. Both have benefits, and both would solve all these problems. How we get there is up to these casino properties. I mean, the first fix to Vegas is absolutely simple. These casino properties immediately drop their prices. Lure people in who are not necessarily budget travelers, but just want to get a great value proposition. The problem with this is that the casinos, as we explained in an earlier video, are trapped. They formed a Chinese finger trap around themselves, where on one end they have their lease agreements, and on the other end they have their shareholders. By lowering prices, they'll bring in less revenue. By bringing in less revenue, they might not be able to afford the rents that they created when they sold their land and properties out to giant, huge hedge funds. By doing so, they're going to tank their share prices and take a hit. Heads will have to roll. When it comes right down to it, I don't foresee a CEO at a casino company in Vegas taking that kind of haircut and putting themselves on the line that way. So with option number A likely never coming to pass, what's option number B? Option number B is that the economy fully recovers and people just simply make more money. Vegas basically tries to toe the line for as long as they possibly can, with casino companies playing the long game and hoping that in time people will return when they have more cash to dump into the casinos for the premium price structure that they've created in this town. I mean, look, you don't complain about the cost of your Netflix going up $2 a month if you just got a $30,000 a year raise, now do you? Of course not. And that may be the tactic that the casinos are waiting to have happen. But either way, it's a dangerous game for the casino properties. And for you, it means simply that you have to make better and more intelligent choices. I mean, because at the end of the day, ultimately it's on you whether or not you think that Vegas is a great value proposition for your money. If you love this town, you'll find a way to come. You'll look for those midweek specials and you'll look for those all-in-one deals. They are happening. They're all over this town. For example, the Stratosphere has some fantastic packages, as does Circa, the Plaza. And if these companies on the Strip know what's good for them, they'll also make those decisions and strike deals for you to come back in and entice you back to being a player and a stayer here in Vegas. Now, until that happens, hopefully you're smart enough to seek out those deals, just like the people who are on this side of me right now. No, not these people, but the people you see in the credits. They have joined our Patreon, so they get their name in our credits for our Thursday videos. They also get over 3 hours of extra content every single month that I post up exclusively just for Patreon. And hey, you can join Patreon for free too, no cost to you. You'll get extra different little bits of content that I post up. So be sure to check out the link for patreon.com/notleavinglasvegas and tell us in the comments below what you think about the value proposition in Vegas coming into 2025 and 2026. This ghost town scenario doesn't necessarily have to play out, and I am confident that this city has the resilience to get through this downturn just like it has all the others in the past. But until that happens, keep coming back to the channel for more information and updates as we analyze the business and the inner workings of the Strip. My name is Steven, I'm not leaving Las Vegas, and it's at this part of the video when I say 3, 2, 1, click. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, and click!